Hi. Now we are going to talk about something that will make your training so much easier, and it's a really good brain game for your dog. What we're going to do is impulse control behavior, which is basically the dog not being allowed to tell them to take the cookie until you tell them that they can. And Pogo and Neo are going to help me out with this one. And Neo is 13 and thinks he can pretty much do whatever he wants. So we will see if he decides to play the game correctly. So the way that we're going to start out with this is we're basically going to give the dogs the choice to either dive their face into the bowl of treats and not get a treat, or back off and get rewarded. So what I'm going to start out doing is I'm going to put the treats on the ground. Pogo, you're not helping, standing right there. And I'm gonna step back from it, and I'm gonna put my hand over it so that Neo can't get it. Now Pogo has backed off of it, so I'm gonna reach into the bowl and give her a treat. And we're gonna wait for Neo to back off of it. Yes! So he gets a treat because he looked up. Like I said, this is not a good game for Neo. So Pogo gets a treat because she's backing away from it. This is a hard game for Neo because he thinks all things should be Neo's. And notice I'm not saying anything, but I'm guarding the bowl so that he can't just dive in and self-reward. So yes, so he's going to make the decision to look away from the bowl, and that's when he gets rewarded. Good. So he looked away from the bowl, so he gets a treat. I would prefer him to back away from the bowl, but we'll take what we can get with the old man. So I'm going to move this over here so that Pogo can get involved a little more. Can you even see? So we have Pogo a treat. Yes, so she gets a treat for that because, as you saw, she made the choice to back away from the treats. So backing away is getting her rewarded. And Neo gets a treat because he's looked away. This is much easier to do one-on-one, just so you know. I don't recommend training this with both of your dogs at once, or all 5 of your dogs, or however many dogs you have. Don't do this. This is just an easy way to show it because these dogs are so much different. Po is 6. Neo is 13. So now that Pogo is backing away from the treats at will, I'm going to move them closer to her. And she still backs away, so she gets some more. Neo is still just apparently going to stare at the treats and drool on them. Good, but he looked away, so he gets a treat. Po's backing away, so she gets a treat. So now the next step from this, and Neo, I'm sorry, honey, but you don't get to play this part of the game because you're not good at this part of the game. But you can stand over here and get rewarded for it. Why don't you stand over here and get rewarded for it? Buddy, come on, hop down. Good boy. So what I'm going to do with Po is I'm going to take a treat and I'm going to put it on the ground. And see how she's sniffing and trying to get it? So I'm just keeping her from getting it. As soon as she looks away, very good, and I'll give it to her. I put another treat on the ground. Block it so she can't get it. Yes, good. And so I'm actually going to give her not the treat on the ground this time. I'm going to give her one out of the bowl. So it's really important that the dogs don't get the treat. Good. Sometimes you can give them the treat directly off the ground. Other times I like to give them the treats out of the bowl. And Neo can have a treat because he's paying attention nicely. So I'm going to put another treat on the ground. So she looked away. Good. You see how she's looking at the treat and looking at me? She's having impulse control. So I'm going to move it closer to her. Very good. So she gets rewarded for that. Nope. She didn't quite make the cookie in her mouth. So I'll move it a little closer to her. Very good. So just protect the treat. Make sure your dog doesn't sneak it like that. Like she almost did. As you start moving the treat around. especially when you start moving it closer to them. Very nice. So now, from there, what you can do when your dog will leave the treats on the ground. Yeah, you don't play that game well. Why don't you come over there? You don't play that game well, do you? Neo, come on. You go scoot over here, buddy. Good boy. So I'll put, there's 2 treats on the ground. Nice. So Pogo backs up, so she gets her reward. Backs up, gets her reward. You don't get that cookie. As you can see, Neo doesn't play this game very well. So then you can actually progress to dropping treats on the ground, which is really tough. I know you're going to steal the treat when I drop it. Yay! Very good. So I had my foot ready in case she tried to steal it. Very good girl. Now when I'm training, I like to use a bowl to get my treats out of, just because it's really easy to reach in and grab it. But a lot of times if you're here up in the dog's face, they'll stick their face in the bowl and just try to help themselves. So this exercise is really good so that you can do this without the dogs trying to reach in and just grab the treats all the time. So I'll put the bowl back down. Very good job. So smart. And you can have a treat for not busting through my legs and taking the treats. Good girl. Oh, that was a hard one. Good job. And then as they advance, you can take handfuls of treats and throw them on the floor. You can send them out of the room and put treats on the floor and then bring them back into the room so that they don't see them right away, so they don't think it's as much of a setup as when you're training it. And there's lots of ways you can advance this. This is kind of the beginning stages of it to help teach your dog some impulse control. And then you can also, once they understand the game pretty well, then I like to put it on cue when my dogs can get the cookie. So my dogs have a cue that means you can now eat that off the floor, and that is search. Search. She's like, we're training. You're trying to fool me. Search. Good girl. So when I tell her search, it means, okay, you can go ahead and take that treat off the floor. Good job. So that's the way you start out the impulse control game. It's also called It's Your Choice. This is a game developed by Susan Garrett. But I hope it helps you out in a lot of aspects of your life. Maybe it will curb some counter surfing that your dog may have. And I hope it helps you out and that you have happy training. Was that fun? Did you do a good job? And Poe, can you put your paws up here? Can you say prayers for people? Can you say prayers so the dogs don't counter surf? Prayers for dogs that don't counter surf. Prayers. Good. I hope you enjoyed the video.